We're very excited to be here today celebrating our City of Austin small businesses, and specifically now with our Small Business Resiliency Award. So before we go into introducing our wonderful businesses that really add to the vibrancy of our local economy, I just wanted to share a few words. My name is Veronica Briceño. I'm the city's Chief Economic Recovery Officer. As the Chief Economic Recovery Officer, I'm responsible for leading cross-departmental city efforts to address local economic recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. This includes overseeing many of the newly developed recovery programs and funding opportunities for those impacted by COVID-19 in Austin. Synovia mentioned this morning, but it bears repeating. The Economic Development Team launched 11 COVID-19 financial assistance and support programs between March and December of 2020. Collectively, these programs distributed over $32 million to about 4,853, not about, precisely 4,853 individuals, nonprofit organizations, and businesses impacted by the global COVID-19 pandemic. Each program helped businesses and nonprofit organizations avoid closure and retain jobs, including jobs for historically marginalized workers and artists. These programs also helped individuals, creatives, and households meet their basic needs. Despite all the uncertainty we've experienced this last year, we recognize the 5 local small businesses that pivoted their business models and displayed incredible resiliency in the wake of adversity. The definition of resilience is the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties, toughness. These businesses were not chosen by the Economic Development Department. Rather, they were chosen by our partners in the community, our local chambers of commerce. These 5 small businesses are the definition of resilient. Each chamber of commerce will come on screen and read a write-up about their honoree. After all the chambers have finished, I would ask all the honorees to turn back on their cameras for a virtual photo. And then we will have a panel discussion with three of our honorees, moderated by our own business coach, Lance McNeil. And on that note, I would like to take this opportunity for personal privilege to have a special shout out to our small business division and our economic development team. There's a lot of staff that spent a lot of hours putting this week on for you. And so I'm just very happy to be here and proud of their hard work. Thank you, team. Since we couldn't present our honorees their certificates in person, we will mail them to them. But so that our group knows, each certificate says, City of Austin Small Business Resiliency Award. This certificate is presented to, name of the business, as recognized by the Chamber of Commerce that is recognizing them, for the ability to overcome the challenges Austin small businesses endured during the COVID-19 pandemic. You are an example of what it takes to bounce back stronger, wiser, and is deserving of public acclaim. The Small Business Resiliency Award certificate is issued in acknowledgement of your resilience on this 3rd day of May in the year 2021. Before we begin with the awards, I want to remind you that we will put a poll evaluation up for you to complete, so please be on the lookout for that. Your feedback is important to us, so please take some time to answer our brief questions that we ask. So let's begin. The first chamber to recognize their honoree is our Greater Austin Asian Chamber of Commerce. Bang, bang.
Thank you, Veronica. Good morning, everyone. When COVID-19 hit, the restaurant industry as a whole was immediately paralyzed. Mr. Eric Silverstein owns 4 types of businesses, including the Peach Tortilla, Bar Peach the Social House, and they have all been hit hard, some harder than others. In March 2020, Mr. Silverstein's team made the decision to close both of the restaurant dining rooms at the Peach Tortilla and Bar Peach. In addition, their quick service restaurant unit inside of the Austin International Airport was closed indefinitely. Instead, the Peach Tortilla focused on creating new take-home meal packages. As time went on, they continued to pivot and change their model. Since events for the Peach Tortilla's catering division were also canceled, they pivoted to using their food trucks to run 4 to 5 dinner shifts a week all across Austin. The Peach Tortilla also launched a slider pop-up called Fat City, staffed by catering employees. This pop-up launched at Yard Bar, and then they have since then licensed this brand to Reef Kitchens and launched this concept as a virtual brand in April. Over time, Over time, the Peach Tortilla also slowly opened the back up for dine-in service, but in doing so, they, like many other businesses in restaurant industry, had to completely change their way of doing businesses by introducing safety measures above and beyond to ensure customers' safety. In November of 2020, Mr. Silverstein also launched a ghost kitchen in Boise, Idaho, as part of the vertically integrated virtual food hall, Crave Delivery. They would have never pursued this opportunity had it not been for the pandemic. Crave Delivery has 16 concepts operating out of its facility, and all orders are placed through the Crave app and delivered by Crave Delivery drivers. This is not a list of every pivot and change that the Peach Tortilla has made in the last year or so during the pandemic. Mr. Silverstein and many other businesses owners will spend months and even years rebuild their businesses. Mr. Silverstein's ingenuity and hard work are a testament to how hard the member of our chamber have worked to keep their businesses afloat during these trying times. So I wanted to congratulations to Peach Tortillas and all the other honorees businesses here. We look forward to learning more about your stories later during this panel session. With pleasure, I yield to Laura to introduce their nominee from Austin Chamber of Commerce.
Good morning, thank you. All right, so my name is Laura Huffman. I'm the president and CEO of the Greater Austin Chamber of Commerce. I have joined you sporting my cheese and wine tasting outfit, and our nominee is Antonelli's, which is owned and operated by John and Kendall Antonelli, who are a husband and wife team. So here's the story. In the wake of the cancellation of South by Southwest in March 2020, and looking at thousands of dollars of loss, the local Austin mom and pop Antonelli's cheese shop made some quick pivots and within days launched the nation's first virtual cheese tasting events. From groups sized at 12 all the way to 150, the Antonellis and their team are hosting one private tasting event at a time, offering cheese plates for both curbside pickup and shipping nationwide. They even hosted dozens of global tastings for corporations with team members based in multiple countries. And they've coordinated the logistics for all folks to participate in the tasting. A parallel pivot included launching the nation's first on-demand cheese class in a box, a gift that can be shipped nationwide and includes video links to do the tasting yourself. Leading over 14,000 people in tastings in 2020, Antonelli's Cheese has positioned itself to live its mission to do good, eat good in entirely new ways. And I can tell you just, they brought a lot of joy to the world through this pivot. Both John and Kendall Antonelli are survivors of depression and openly speak to the importance of socially connecting while physically distancing. Cheese is just the vehicle for them to do that. And then I will yield to Tam, I think.
That's correct, Laura. Thank you so
There you
much.
go. It's all yours.
Thank you. I'm just incredibly proud of all of the members and businesses that we're honoring today. I'd like to introduce you all to Jenny DuCrain of DuCrain Solutions. After we've all faced adversity in 2020, Jenny and her team created Leaders Transform. Much has been said about leadership and how it's evolved, and especially during a pandemic, what the needs are. But right now, I think it's ever more important that Jenny and her team, they were able to transition into helping leaders navigate such difficult times in a climate that was just unreal. None of us had ever faced anything like this before. So she pivoted her business model and kept her business thriving and safely adhered to social distancing protocols during the same time. Again, this past year has undoubtedly been one of the most difficult times our nation has faced because of the pandemic. Leaders cannot lead well when exhausted. When they do not take care of themselves, it again impacts their overall mission, vision, and company goals. It impacts everything. Acknowledging this and pivoting is what makes Jenny's story the most incredible one during one of the hardest times that businesses have faced worldwide. Jenny is a serial entrepreneur, a veteran, an international best-selling author, and a truth seeker. Through her speaking engagements, workshops, books, and meditations, she seeks guidance to help women leaders tap into their inner energy, source to expand their power, their purpose, and possibility. Jenny is also the CEO of DuCrain Solutions Group, a personal development leadership organization. Through Leaders Transform, she has created a dynamic space for women leaders and game changers seeking to deepen leadership impact, unleash potential and possibility while living a balanced, healthy, and connected life across Austin and the United States. As a board member of Mission Impossible in Austin, she works to enrich the lives of individual children and families throughout Austin's most under-resourced communities to break the cycle of intergenerational poverty, one life at a time. A proud Marine veteran, she's learned the importance of integrity, taking care of people, and leading by example. And that's what she's continued to do throughout the pandemic to present day, as she's helped leaders understand their role in adaptive leadership and understanding that the core values of leadership don't change because of a pandemic, just your execution and making certain that you're a whole leader as you lead your missions. I'm so proud that Jenny DuCrain is a nominee for the Phoenix Award.
Good afternoon to Veronica and to the staff, honorees, attendees, to my peer chamber CEOs. I have the pleasure to bring forth to you Nick Barreiro from Clay Imports. Clay Imports, known for their Saltillo tile, moved much of their marketing dollars into digital spend to create video and elevate their online and social media presence. You know, let's move sourdough away because they really brought a phenomenal opportunity to their customers, and now they have reached far and wide. They could not have come to the people in their studio space due to the pandemic, so they brought the products to life through their social channels by adding more photos and videos, and even started having virtual consultations. Pre-pandemic, they were a tile company, and after COVID-19, they introduced new products that included DIY planter kits that could be shipped, and almost began making artisan cups called focal pottery. To continue expanding their selection of products for people and opportunities to work closely with designers and artisans from all over the world, they launched a home goods line, Clay Casa, a series of terracotta and ceramic ware, furniture, and other home decor items such as coasters or house numbers. You can read more about Clay Casa on their blog, or obviously go to their website at clayimports.com. They're introducing a vibrant and rich and modern line. It's just amazing that I'm also want to go buy some of their items. The company also works internationally with various artisans in Mexico. In one of my recent conversations with Nick, he was in Guanajuato or Guadalajara, so he's very busy internationally. And as a result of the pivot, they have increased the amount of artisans they work with and plan to continue with their new line of products, as well as continue to focus money on digital marketing. My congratulations to Nick and to all of the other honorees.
On it. Still on it.
Good afternoon. I'm not sure if everyone can hear me. Yes, okay, great. My name is Alicia Palacios Woods, President and CEO of the Austin Young Chamber. A big thank you to the City of Austin Small Business team for inviting us here today and organizing so many wonderful events this week to support our small businesses. The Austin Young Chamber saw many incredible and creative pivots in 2020 in response to the pandemic, and were truly inspired by commitments to employees, customers, and community. Today, it is our pleasure to present a Small Business Resiliency Award to Austin Young Chamber member All Pro Hospitality and the All Pure brand, led by co-founders and managing partners Turgay Yuxel and Christopher Parks. All Pro Hospitality took the spotlight in the service industry over the last few years, with accolades that included Best Place to Work by Austin Business Journal, Austin American Statesman, and Inc. magazine. They were not only thriving, but expanding, developing and fine-tuning several divisions just prior to the pandemic. However, when the Austin tourism and hospitality industry took a hit, their staffing and hotel amenity division were devastated by the closure of hotels, the cancellation of our city's beloved live events, and the emptying of corporate offices opting to work from home. Through these challenges, they discovered an opportunity that became a pretty much overnight immediate need for all of us: hand sanitizer and a better, more experience-based health hygiene solution. Entrepreneurs at heart, they teamed up with their hotel amenity manufacturer, used their hospitality aptitude, and created an all pure, all natural product that is now one of the most competitive on the market today. Their formula is differentiated in every way, using ingredients more potent on the virus, gentler on the skin, and more environmentally friendly. This new brand, called All Pure, will continue long after the pandemic and now offers additional in-room amenities like shampoo, conditioners, and more. All Pure was recently featured on Forbes and is available for businesses and individual purchase online via their website and on Amazon. Amazingly, through the challenges and pivots All Pro experienced, Turgay and Christopher made it a priority to find ways to continue supporting their staff and give back to the community. On behalf of the Austin Young Chamber, I would like to congratulate Turgay and Christopher of All Pro Hospitality and the All Pure brand for their incredible leadership and business pivot in 2020. And congratulations to all the businesses who received an award today. I now virtually pass the mic to Lance McNeil with the City of Austin.
Thank you so much, Alicia. And I want to echo the congratulations to all the awardees today. You exemplify what it means to be resilient. We're going to continue our presentation and discussion today with a panelist featuring 3 of the award-winning winners this morning. Before I introduce them and ask them really to introduce themselves, since they've been introduced, I want to kind of just remind everyone what we're talking about when we talk about resilience and resiliency, which has certainly become a word more frequently used this past year. But the idea around resiliency is the ability to emerge from hardships strengthened and more resourceful than we were before. And when Inc. magazine asked the CEOs behind the 500 fastest growing companies in the US which qualities they attributed to their success, grit and resilience were traits that most often topped the list, of course, alongside risk-taking and thinking big. So whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur, an existing small business owner, or the CEO behind one of these fastest growing companies in the nation, those who adjust better to change are more likely to create and sustain a successful company through the many challenges of owning and operating a business, especially during times of disaster and economic downturn. So we've heard from each of the awardees today about their backgrounds, but I'm going to introduce them briefly and ask them to share a little bit about themselves, about how they got started in business. And I want to start with Jenny DuCrain, CEO of DuCrain Solutions Group. I'm not going to read your bio because it's already been read, but what I want to hear is in your own words, kind of this origin story, Jenny, how you got started as an entrepreneur and why you became an entrepreneur, and then share a little bit about that company origin story.
Thank you, Lance. And just one thank you to Tam Hawkins and the Greater Austin Black Chamber of Commerce for your inspiration, your leadership, and as well to the City of Austin small business folks. This is a lot of work to put these on, and particularly virtually, it makes it a whole lot more exciting. So Lance, thank you. As he shared again, my name is Jenny DuCrain. I'm the CEO of the DuCrain Solutions Group. We're a training and leadership development firm. And I started actually entrepreneurship a few years ago. I'm only about 10 or 12 years old, but a few years ago. And I would say the first big adventure that I embarked on was I actually went, and I was in education at the time, and had been asked to found an organization to really transform the lives of young people. And in doing that, it was everything from the concept in my head to building a business, finding a building, finding customers. In this case, it was students, to finding resources, finding money. And so that was the time, I think, when I would say that I was probably most bitten by the entrepreneurial bug. Being able to build from concept to multi-million-dollar organization that had tremendous impact was really exhilarating. It was also a huge teacher in a lot of ways. And when I led that for a number of years and then decided to actually take a step away from it and start to think about what else could I do. One of the lessons that I learned was really around leadership, and the power and the importance of leadership. And my experience is that how few of us are developed to be leaders that can sustain themselves first and foremost. I talk about that a lot, but also how leadership literally touches everything we do. Whether you're a formal leader with a title or an informal leader, that means people are transformed by what you do or what you say. All of us at any given moment are leading. If you're a parent, you're always a leader. If you're in any sector, into any industry, you're always leading. And so over the last 8 years in running DuCrain Solutions Group, we've continued to work with leaders all across the country. We have 5 sectors of expertise in the government, large nonprofit corporate work, do a lot of work with fast growing companies, because those are the places where we see leaders get I think the pressure and the intensity of leadership. We sometimes forget the power that first starts with ourselves, and the importance to take care of that so we can take care of our people.
Thank you. I remember reading the last couple of years, LinkedIn publishes the highest valued traits or skill sets in a community for what they're looking for in a workforce, and leadership is always in the top 5, and a lot of times the very top quality. So thank you, Jenny. It's so important. You really nailed it. I want to ask Christopher Parks, co-founder and managing partner at All Pro Hospitality Staffing, to share a little bit about his origin story as an entrepreneur.
Well, good morning, everyone. And just want to say thank you. There's a lot of just beautiful people on this award ceremony today, and just want to thank each one of you for taking the time just to highlight just a small portion of the small business that represent this great city. It's just very humbling. As far as my name's Christopher Parks, I'm my business partner, Turgay Yüksel. So we founded All Pro Hospitality Group, and our first branch was our staffing division. Our collective 50 years experience in luxury hotels, we just really saw a need for a quality, reliable solution to support Austin's top luxury hotels. We've been around for 5 years, and we have expanded into several different divisions with our hospitality business. We also support international careers for students looking to come to America on a variety of programs, and we support the top hospitality businesses in our great city. And then we launched the All Pure brand nearly a year ago. It's been a beautiful ride. We have the greatest city in America and the best support that anyone could ever ask for. And we're just truly honored to continue to expand in this great city.
Thank you, Christopher. Our third panelist today is Siobhan Felix, who is the Human Resource Manager at the Peach Tortilla and Bar Peach. Siobhan, thank you for representing the Peach Tortilla I understand Mr. Silverstein had a conflict and couldn't join us. But in your role as you say, HR department of one, you've had the opportunity to work in all aspects of HR, including recruiting, onboarding, employee relations, and of course, benefits and payroll. So I want to invite you to share a little bit about how you got started with the company and how you've seen it grow since you've been there. And I think she may be having some technical difficulties and was kicked off. Is that right, Jackie?
Like it, we'll get her back on, no worries.
Okay. No worries. Well, we'll just move on to the question section. So I've got about 3 questions that I want to ask to get us started in the conversation. And I'll invite the audience to be thinking of questions during our discussion, because we'll have plenty of time for audience Q&A as well. And you can type those questions into the chat as they come to mind. My first question, and we've talked on it a little bit, either in the introductions and in your own words, but I want to understand what has been the biggest challenges that you're faced your business during the pandemic and the economic downturn, and what have you done to really respond to that? Jenny, we could start with you.
Sure, thank you. So what was it, early March? The first was the school closure. So that meant we had an 11-year-old coming back home. That happened, I think, at 3 a.m, as I recall. And then shortly after that, probably within a week or two, we're a professional services company, and so a lot of my colleagues have products or restaurants or such. So as a professional services company, we immediately, within a week, saw 5 contracts just evaporate. They evaporated. And so, that was an immediate, heart-stopping moment, just like many other business owners experience. And then, so as a CEO of our company, I have people who look to me to make sure that they are keeping their table. I started doing the pivot, right? And if any of you business owners who did the pivot, you started pivoting and trying to think and pivot and think, and so I kind of, for the first maybe 30 days, trying to figure out how do we reclaim those contracts that were lost, and again, some folks just they no longer had the need because their people weren't at work. Some of them contracted, or all kinds of things going on. And so as a leader, my first instinct was, as an entrepreneur, okay, wait, we gotta solve this problem, hurry up. And I realized that I had to actually take a step back and sit still for a moment, because so many people were trying to figure out what to do. And we couldn't get a clear enough idea of what the challenge areas were. And so again, and I share this because I think sometimes as leaders, we try to race forward and solve things. And sometimes it's important to take a step back and really discern what's happening and get some clarity, both clarity in your own business as we had to do, but then also clarity in what's the market need right now. And one of the things that we saw that the market needed was how to go from a live workforce, particularly again this is more for white collar, to a remote workforce when no one had been accustomed to working remotely. And so we helped a lot of leaders and companies figure out the strategy for that, figure out how to support their teams and companies in that. And so that was kind of the first wave. And then, as you all know, we've gone through several iterations of, the state opens or city opens, whoops, nope, the city closes, and businesses were experiencing the same kind of thing. And so we had to keep kind of taking a moment to sit and figure out, okay, what's needed, what's needed right now. I think in the space that we're in right now, it's bringing people back to work. So again, we have leadership, we have a couple of leadership programs to help leaders actually really start to think through that. Because one of the biggest and most important things, and the CEO of Basecamp is made the New York Times today for this, is that the people who are coming back to work are not the same people who left. And it's really important for leaders to realize that business as usual, or it's not even a new normal. It's almost you get to invent what your work environment's going to be and how your people relationships in particular are going to look. And that's a real key area we're now looking at and beginning to provide support to companies across the country to resolve.
You know, a real quick follow-up question for you, because you hit on a couple of things that are very interesting. One is when the pandemic hit, customers evaporated. That's a very poignant way to describe exactly what happened, and it left a lot of leaders of businesses in this state of chaos, right? And things were changing. What advice did you give, and would you give the next time we're in a state of chaos? What should leaders be doing in that predicament?
This might sound odd, but quite honestly, the first thing that leaders need to do is to stand still, because our instinct is sort of like the building's on fire and my cat's in the building, I need to run into the building. The problem is we don't know what we're running into. Do we have exits? Do we have, we don't understand what we're running into. And so one of the very first things is take a minute. And as I was listening to the stories of my co-honorees, it's, you have to take a moment to kind of figure out, well, what's going on. And then the other thing too, I think so first thing is as leaders is take a moment and kind of collect yourself, stand still for a little bit, get clear on what you're seeing. Maybe reach out to some colleagues and ask, what are you seeing? So the second thing I would say would get information that can help you better inform your thinking. Spend time thinking about what makes the most sense to move forward. Ask your employees. If you have employees, sometimes again your employees are your greatest resource, and have their finger on the pulse in a way that you may not. But I think it's to stand still, to get new information, and then to act. You have to decide, you have to act, and know that you can always change direction, you can change what you need to do. But those are three things that I think are really key.
That's great advice. I want to invite Christopher to share how that advice related to your experience and your customers evaporating and how you decided to pivot.
Yeah, thank you, Lance. So just to kind of piggyback off of what Jenny was saying, we followed the same route, Once South by Southwest had officially canceled, it was almost immediately, I would say within 12 hours, it felt like the lights were turned off in the city. That's just how it felt to us here with a variety of hospitality businesses. So South by canceled, the hotels quickly closed their doors. Offices started working remotely. We were on full lockdown. As we can all attest. So, just as Jenny was saying, we had to really take a look at what resources we have. We knew what we didn't have, and that was staffing. It was going to be a long road back to recovery with everyone working from home and doors being closed. So, our staffing business was devastated. As far as our international careers business, we have so many clients here looking for support from our international students. And, there were travel bans. The consulates are still closed to this day, 75% of them around the globe. And, we just really had to step back for a moment and say, well, what can we do? What can we do to really move forward and stay alive? And, many say that you have to build boats to stay afloat, and we were just building boat. We had a tremendous relationship with a cosmetic and beauty supplier overseas that we had been working with for years, and we teamed up on the All Pure brand. This is a $6 billion industry here in the U.S., and nobody took any time to really focus on the quality of the formula and to have that look. And we really focused we really refocused and re-energized our efforts to what we could do. And so we looked at what resources we had, we strategized, we worked nightly. A lot of our partners that are in Turkey, they're, operating on different time zones, and we started our day at midnight. because that's when they start their day over there. And at the end of the day, we just made it happen. You know, we all put all of our resource and you know, expertise together to develop an incredible brand. And we worked tirelessly on, you know, making a difference.
That's going to be my next question, is talking a little bit about the people who helped you pivot. Before I ask about that, because I want to hear more about your partners and suppliers that helped you. I want to see if Siobhan was able to rejoin us. I think I saw her enter the room. Are you there? No, maybe still experiencing technical difficulties. Well, it's a good segue then to my next question is, you know, what were some of the most helpful resources that you relied on to help you pivot, whether they were federal resources, state, local, or whether they were resources as in human resources, the people within your company or the partners that surround your company, those collaborators. What really played a key role in your pivot? Christopher, if you want to just go ahead and pick it back up, and I'll come back to Jenny on that question.
And there was just so many miracles going on behind the scenes. Definitely the vibrations that we were putting out was we needed help, and we wanted to be of help as well. We were fortunate enough to receive the PPP, and we received the second round. That was absolutely vital. I don't know if we would be here today if it wasn't for that. The city of Austin, with the bridge loan, we applied, and we were, you know, very fortunate to receive that as well. We were able to raise money behind the scenes to really help the All Pure brand, you know, launch. You know, I think the biggest gift to anyone is their family and closest circle. And for me, you know, my family and business partner, you know, I just know every day I wake up, you know, I'm just re-energized. Ultimately, we want the best for each other and the best for our employees and the best for the city. And we're going to give it our all. But that drive is what led us to the next day and to the next day, and to have, you know, a really amazing product that we can offer and everyone can support and benefit from.
Thank you, Christopher. And Jenny, I'll ask you the same question. What were those resources and people that really helped in your transition?
Yeah, the much like Christopher just shared, relationships were really queen. They were super, super important. This was not a time in which going it alone or you know, burrowing in the sand was helpful. So relationship both of current clients, past clients as well. We were able to reignite some past relationships, which led to new business, and so that was awesome. Any form of money that was legally had, from grants to loans, was actually super, super helpful. It actually got us to a point where we were able to add new team members, which I was very excited about. And then, you know, we had to go digital. So that was something we'd previously done all of our work live. And so we had to, you know, we had to shift everything digitally, and have continued to build a digital library of some of our trainings, and continue to do that work. But I think the most important thing, honestly, was relationships. We're just, you know, and at the end of the day, business is about relationships, and so that was the most important thing. Both some new relationships, you know, reaching out. I did a lot of reach out to CEOs all across the country to just understand more about what did they need. Also finding, I think, opportunities to serve. I think Christopher shared that a bit. Like, you know, so how can we help? Whether it's through just resources that we may have, connections that we could make, or just, you know, serving on boards or serving in other ways. But service also was and continues to be a really important aspect of this. But relationships, I think, and then any money anywhere that was legal that was the other really helpful way to pivot and to be able to continue to serve new and existing clients.
Thank you. And you mentioned serving others, and it sounds like you serve on some boards. And for our entrepreneurs viewing today, I think it's really important to think about relationships and this idea of kind of a brain trust. Some people have boards of advisors, but Pixar coined this term for business called a brain trust, right? And it's really your board of advisors, mentors, coaches, the people that you surround yourself with to give you advice, to help you be that social safety net, if you will, during times of crisis and adversity. And I just want to recognize that as an entrepreneur, especially sole proprietors, entrepreneur businesses of one, it can be very isolating, can be very lonely. And having a coach, a mentor, an advisor that you can connect with regularly is so important to being more resilient. And as was mentioned at the beginning, if you didn't catch it, we have coaching sessions all throughout the week where you can start that coaching relationship. There are lots of resources in Austin to establish relationships with mentors. And so I really encourage you to be active in creating that board of trustees and that brain trust, if you will. I've got one more question, and then I'll ask audience questions to come in, and we'll start to field those. But based on what you've all experienced with the pandemic and the economic downturn, how will this impact how you prepare for and respond to future disasters, future economic downturns? What are you doing to change business processes, to change outlook, to change how you diversify your income streams? What kind of planning goes into preparing for the next unexpected? Jenny, go ahead, sorry.
Thank you. So, while we think that this may never happen again, we also didn't think that Texas would freeze either, so, and that in and of itself, it was a week that was catastrophic in a lot of different ways. And so I think it's really critical for business owners to think through the worst case, what's the worst case scenario? So the first is cash. I think that is in a really important place to make sure, there were small businesses that I know of who did not have cash and didn't have the financial record keeping to allow them to apply for PPP. So I think one of the big lessons, we didn't experience this, but I think one of the big lessons is to make sure that you have your financial house in order so that when a disaster like this basically happens, you're able to you're able to apply for the opportunity and have your financial system set up in a way that you can, you're able to receive the resources. I think that's really, really, really important. The other thing is absolutely diversification, just like your stock portfolio. It is really important. And I think, I know that in our company, we're continuing, we have coaches, we have trainers, we facilitate, and in all of that, it's still, there's still opportunity, digitizing more of our training, more of our course offerings. That's a whole opportunity that doesn't rely on people basically at all, right? We don't have to cultivate a client, but it does allow for anyone in the world at any point to say, oh, I want to take that training. And so, structuring those types of products. I think continuing to figure out other resources that can be helpful, even if they're low cost. If you have, a $10 product that, 4,000 people buy, well, that's another revenue line, right? So I think that's something that we're continuing to figure out. The hesitancy that I have as a professional services organization right now is, investing in things that we're not completely, building things that we're not completely sure leaders need because the environment is so volatile right now. And I think even how to be a leader is really important. And I mentioned the CEO of Basecamp because how to be a leader in the way that, and for any of you who have read the article, he's basically pivoted his company's policy, and a third of his employees have overnight resigned. But this is an example of really having to have a connection as a leader to how your people are feeling and doing. And I think in this current climate, it is very important for leaders to be tapped into that. And so because of that, we're having to have in our industry a lot more kind of touch points and really learn and understand what do leaders need right now. And they may not need the same thing 6 months from now. So it's a bit of a quandary that I would find us in, but we continue to lead forward because I think, again, supporting leaders is our bread and butter, and it's critical to the health and well-being of just about every business that I know of.
Thank you, Jenny. Very, very well said. And I can certainly speak to seeing a lot of financials in disorder as I was trying to help people apply for some of the relief funds, whether it's PPP or a grant, and managing your cash flow, understanding what cash flow is just so integral to being a successful business owner. If you don't have a good grasp of your financial situation, put your financial house in order, as Jenny says. I can't echo that enough. So thank you. Christopher, what about you?
Yeah, thanks so much. And man, I just really resonate just with everything, Jenny, you're saying. I feel like I can talk to you for the rest of the afternoon. And same with you, Lance. Great questions. One thing is we got to be open to change. There's no way around it. And, leaders and entrepreneurs always find themselves not in their comfort zones. We're doing things for the first time and we're trying to make a difference, and just being open to change and just knowing change is expected, and being comfortable with that, or at least trying your best to get more comfortable with change and being open. For me, with a hospitality background, I look, when I was a line employee, obviously I wanted to work for the employer that cared about me the most. And I worked for the most successful brands within hospitality that just lived and breathed that. It wasn't something just on paper, it was something that they did. But it's the same for entrepreneurship. You got to really, truly care about your business partner, just like that brother. You want the best for them, they want the best for you. And I feel I'm the luckiest guy on earth, with her guy as a business partner. Strengthen your network. You might have just an awesome inner circle, and that's been going good, and it's got you to, point B, but there's still C, D, E, F, G. You got to continue to strengthen that inner circle and really invest in that networking. It might be on a Zoom or a Teams call, but really, really put yourself, out of your comfort zone, so I just really encourage that you really focus on strengthening your inner circle, and listen to your clients. When we launched the staffing, we were the client. We were looking for a staffing solution that could support our operation. I was at the Four Seasons, business partner was at the W, and we were looking for a quality, reliable staffing solution. We listened to the clients and we decided to team up and just really take that to the next level. We knew that they needed, someone with a positive outlook, and we needed someone to be flexible. We wanted someone to be experienced and polished. We were just listening. We knew what they wanted, and that's what we provided. From there, we grew into some other avenues, just simply by listening to our clients and knowing that we have the resources to support them. Yeah, those are just a small few items, being open to change and working on strengthening that inner circle that you surround yourself with and devote your time to, and just continue to diversify and plan ahead. You can never plan too much, that's for sure.
That's right. We don't plan enough, for sure. Two things you said I just want to touch on briefly is be open to change, because where you have a lot of change, you also have a lot of new opportunities. And when you look back at the last recession, the Great Recession, we saw a lot of companies forming during that economic downturn, very disruptive companies. We saw crowdfunding platforms become a thing. Kickstarter, Indiegogo, they established themselves as in response to money that had dried up. And so where there is something going wrong, something broken, where there is change, there's also oftentimes opportunity. And the other thing you mentioned is strengthening your circle and getting out there and doing more networking. And for some people that may not feel natural to network, but I really want to challenge you to get out of that comfort zone. As you say, join your chamber, your local chamber, network with others, make it a mastery goal, right? If you're an introverted person, a little closed off, that's okay, but get out of that discomfort, get out of that comfort zone just a little bit. Attend a networking event once or twice a month. That's all you have to do. Make it a goal, write it down, and get it done. I want to ask if we have any audience questions, and if not, then I'll invite the panelists to share some final thoughts and address anything we haven't talked about. Any questions from the audience? Let me check the chat. Jackie, Cassie, have we seen any roll in?
I haven't seen any yet.
Okay, I don't see any either. Okay, well, in that case, I want to invite some closing remarks from our panelists. Jenny, let's start with you.
Absolutely, thank you. Well, again, just thank you, and great to be able to see some old friends here as honorees and meet some new ones, Christopher. So I think the most important thing for a leader or leaders is to, as Christopher said, it's so important to build relationships. Listen to your people. Ask a lot of questions of your team members. At the end of the day, your team, whatever the composition of your team is, they're the folks who are on the front line getting things done. It's our job as leaders to listen to them, to sometimes invite their feedback because they will see things that we don't. So that's really, really, really critical. And then finally, the other thing is, just as leaders, we have to continue to grow. It is very easy in the midst of high stress to kind of shut down and burrow and just sort of focus on, ramming things through. And I understand there's an element of that is necessary to sustain the lifeblood of our companies. It is also important for us to take care of ourselves by continuing to educate ourselves, continuing to be part of, if it's mastermind groups of other leaders. And so that's really super important. If you guys want any information about my company, you can go to leaderstransform.com. And again, it's leaderstransform.com. And just peruse it. We have stuff around personal development for leaders and also professional development for leaders and teams. So thank you again for the opportunity to be here.
Thank you, Jenny, and congratulations again. Christopher.
Thank you. So I guess I would just like to lead with, as we move into the future, those businesses that are going to survive, yes, they are resilient, and that you have to make changes in order to continue moving forward. You got to build boats to stay afloat, all these things. But at the end of the day, you got to care more than anyone cares. You got to care about your employees more than anyone else. You got to care about, your business partners. You got to care about your clients. You got to care about the city. You just got to continue to push the envelope and continue to care more. It's what it all boils down for us.
Thank you, Christopher. And Jenny, you talk about continuing to grow and continuing to educate ourselves. And I know your company offers many opportunities, and also part of Small Business Week. This week, we have many opportunities for the community. So please take a look at our website, smallbizaustin.org, and check out the week full of classes and learning opportunities to invest in your professional development throughout the week. I'm going to ask Susanna to close us out and talk about the poll that we want to get your feedback on. So we're going to do a little bit of polling of the attendees. And Susanna, are you on to close us out?
Yes, good afternoon. I'm Susana Carvajal, Assistant Director for the Economic Development Department. First of all, I want to congratulate again to all our award honorees. Congratulations. Very well done. And we look forward to your continued success throughout this year and more to come. And thank you to our panelists for sharing your wisdom and your guidance and your motivation and support, and most of all, encouragement to keep on going each and every day. And thank you to Lance for moderating this really fascinating conversation. So there's the poll. Please, we appreciate your feedback. We need your feedback, so please finish it before you leave. And thank you for joining us today. But before we say goodbye and enjoy your lunch, we want to make sure that you visit us at smallbizaustin.org to check out all of our classes and events that we're having for Small Business Week this week. Just a quick glance of what we are having this week is business, creative, and nonprofit coaching sessions that Lance mentioned every day from 1 to 2 p.m. It's every day, so you don't have an excuse for missing one, because you have 5 days to figure out which one you could join. A legal clinic on Tuesday, May 4 at 3 p.m. with a lawyer referral of Central Texas. Record keeping tips for creatives on Tuesday, May 4th at 2 p.m. SMBR certification workshop on Wednesday, May 5th at 2 p.m. The circular economy workshop on Thursday, May 6th at 2 p.m. Thank you for joining us today, and I look forward to seeing you for the rest of the week at one of our sessions, one of our classes. I'll see you there, okay? See you guys soon.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Christopher. Appreciate getting to know you a little bit better. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Lance. Appreciate